Oxford outlaw Matt Reardon returns to Oxford after nearly 3 years to investigate, document, and ultimately vindicate himself. Matt Reardon was unlawfully arrested and illegally confined on May 26, 2017, until July 6, when he was coerced under extreme stress to plea out to a crime he never committed and couldn't possibly have committed in order to see and ultimately get his daughter back into his life. To add insult to injury, in what seemed like an unreal and unimaginable nightmare, a mandatory part of his involuntary plea involved being banished from the city and county for the term of his probation, 5 years, and signing a covenant to not sue the sheriff's department, the city, the county, any officers involved, any city or county elected official, or any city or county employee. They thought they had every angle tied up. One big problem for them. Actually, two. First, Matt got off probation at halftime, just 2.5 years. The second, being the county opening the door, giving him every legitimate reason to legally bypass the covenant to not sue, when even more corruption started to surface at some of the highest levels, including the county and sheriff's department, refusing to comply with a Public Records Freedom of Information Act request, after the sheriff's department admitted in the last batch of documents requested that Deputy Jared Bundren had received a mystery phone call on May 24, 2017, just 2 days before Reardon was ambushed on the square in Oxford, Mississippi, and arrested by 4 sheriff's investigators, including Bundren. Not long into his discovery phase, he realizes that there is much more involvement in this plot. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office refused to get involved and have refused to look at any evidence. Maybe that's because they played a big part in this scandal even happening in the first place. It became increasingly evident when the FBI completely refused to comply with a public records request to produce an investigative report called a 302, which would have been generated from a sit-down meeting Reardon had with 2 agents on May 25, 2017. Reardon took the advisement of an assistant U.S. attorney and sat down with the 2 agents at the local field branch office in Oxford, Mississippi on May 25, 2017. It is during this meeting where Reardon shows proof of a death threat being made on him and further proving Reardon's innocence in the all-out attack on Reardon and his rights the very next day. It is during this meeting also that Reardon discusses how he purchased an AR-15 for self-defense on May 20th, 2017, and he also discussed how his First Amendment rights were brutally attacked due to a cheap shot injunction taken out by the soon-to-be mayor-elect and her husband, essentially barring him from addressing City Hall on the day of the election, June 6, 2017, which he was already listed on the published agenda for. Since that time, the FBI has sat back taking a silent approach, even making reference to the fact that they could not locate the 302 investigative report, which would accurately show everything, along with any surveillance gathered from that meeting. In trying to combat trickle-down corruption, which he names as one of the biggest threats to society, Oxford outlaw Matt Reardon bravely continues to get closer and closer to the fire as he finds more and more government involvement and pushback from the same ones that plotted to frame him, silence him, get rid of him, and ultimately destroy his life back in 2017. It's a race against the clock, and Matt is a man on a mission in an all-out war on corruption to reclaim his rights and his life, which were so brutally destroyed by the careless, selfish, and shockingly corrupt acts of this local government and the ones who assisted in helping to cover everything up.